Growing to live here. I wanted to do a quick video today on my bamboo and growing it in Utah, northern Utah, and in the winter. It is cold hardy bamboo as well, and I do apologize for any wind sound that might come through the speaker. It's pretty windy today. Anyways, today we are in the middle of February right now, so technically it's still winter. We haven't had much snow this year. In fact, we've had abnormally low amount of snow this year for our part of northern Utah. And so let's take a look at the bamboo. As you can see, it's planted against a fence. Now this fence is on the west side of the garden, and so the bamboo would be just on the east side of this fence. And this first bamboo right here is called incense bamboo, and I don't remember the scientific name of it. It's been planted in the ground since probably roughly June, I believe, and it hasn't put on much growth this season, and it stands at probably about 6 feet tall right now. It has one main stalk, and if I come down here, you can see there's a total of, well, there were 5 or 6 stalks. Only 3 are still alive and still green. One is actually looking a little yellow, but it still has green leaves on it. And also, as you can see, I have placed some recent mulch around it, around the bottom, just some natural mulch, some dried leaves, old branch clippings, some weeds that I dug up, stuff like that, to help protect further for the cold. And when I planted this last summer, just this last summer of 2017, I dressed the soil pretty well. So when it was planted, I planted the mixture in what I believed was a good mixture for bamboo. But on top of the soil that it was planted in, I also added a decent layer of shredded, I believe it was shredded pine bark. Not the big chunky stuff, but the finely shredded bark. And there was probably a good, I would say 2 or 3 inches on top to protect. And then if I pan out a little, and this might be hard to see, and it's overgrown a little during the fall and the warm months of the winter, but there's a berm, a dirt berm around the base of the bamboo as well. And then one other thing you might notice, I have some bamboo stakes, one right there, and that one is holding the base of the bamboo to keep it straight. And then come up here a little bit further, I have another bamboo stake right here, and that's holding the large live bamboo stalk up, so it kind of grows straight. And then pan up a little bit more, and here's one more stake that is tied and holding it up. And I wish I had a taller stake because it is drooping a little bit. But with this incense bamboo, you can see there's still plenty of green leaves on it. Now, when I show you my other bamboo in a minute, I'll kind of compare the leaves a little. But this one has actually shed more leaves than my other one, and it has a little more yellowing, and that is mainly due to the fact that I had originally intended to cover my bamboo with a clear or a white greenhouse tarp, bend them over and stake them down, cover them with mulch, and then cover them and stake the tarp over them to further protect them from the snow and the frost, and to also prevent any top dieback and any excessive leaf drop. And I've been so busy and things going on in my personal life that I wasn't able to get that done, and so for that reason I am very thankful that we have had a very mild winter. Obviously there's no new growth. Oftentimes with bamboo, especially in a colder area, you won't get new growth in the first season, and if you do, it will be minimal. The second season is when you'll start to see the first new growth, which will usually still be minimal. It's in the third season when usually the growth starts to be very noticeable. So I wasn't expecting any growth, this year. This coming spring and summer, I'm hoping to get some. However, I am happy that it has remained green so far. I did, when I purchased both of these varieties of bamboo, I did purchase cold hardy specific bamboo. Now one of these is hardy down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and one is hardy down to 15, and I can't remember which is which. Ironically, there has been a few days this winter where we have hit that low. We have actually dipped right around 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Normally we would hit multiple days and sometimes even weeks in the negative degrees, especially overnight. Luckily we haven't had that issue much this season. Alright, so here, this is the incense bamboo. Now let me cut over to my other bamboo. Okay, this is called Yellow Groove bamboo, not Grove, Groove. And I'll show you why it's called that. So obviously it looks green, and it is green. No, it doesn't have yellow stalks. It has primarily green stalks, and this is young bamboo, kind of struggling with the colder temps of the winter here in northern Utah. But it's called Yellow Groove because you can see that little yellow groove right there. And I'll show you another one down here. Both stalks actually. Now this bamboo, when I ordered it, it came with 2 stalks, and both stalks are still alive. They're lighter in color, which I'm hoping isn't an issue. I can't remember how light they were when I purchased them. But let me pan back a little bit to show you that it still looks pretty green too. And it is, I would say the tallest part is about 6 feet tall as well. Now bend the top back. There's not a whole lot of dieback on the top, which is good. You can see some leaf dieback from the frost. And as you look at the leaves up close, you can really see, a little bit of frost damage. Nothing major as far as the branching goes, like cutting in very close to this branch. There's not even dieback right there. So green, for the most part, I would say this bamboo is probably a little bit greener. It definitely has more leaves than my incense bamboo. Now on this one, I did basically the same setup. When I planted it in its mixture, I top dressed it with some fine pine bark when I planted it last summer, 2 or 3 inches. There's a berm around it, even though you can't see it with the overgrown remnants of the garden. And then just earlier this week I placed some, you can see some larger pine bark down there, and then on top of that I placed some mulch, dead leaves and branches and clipped weeds and stuff like that to help hold in the heat in the root zone and the cap of the roots. And then I also have stakes to hold this one up as well. And the stalks of this bamboo are actually a bit thicker, so I have a little bit better hope for this bamboo, although I am pretty confident that both varieties will make it through the winter. So I have my stake there, one right there, and one right there. This bamboo seems a little sturdier, but it's held up well in the wind, the crazy wind that we had last fall, and it has held up with the cold winter temperatures here in northern Utah, which I was very surprised because I didn't cover them this year, and I neglected them for probably 2 months, 2 or maybe even 3 months without even looking at them. And I came out to check on them, and in northern Utah, obviously the ground would normally freeze basically all winter long. That hasn't been the case either, and it hasn't been hot enough where the moisture has evaporated from the ground. So I haven't had to water these once since probably October at the very latest, possibly even been longer than that. Alright, so this is my bamboo, and I will hopefully bring you an update in several months later this year. Thanks for watching.